So you finish modeling your trim sheet and now you want to take it to the next level. And this is exactly what we're going to do in this tutorial. You want to maybe put emission with bounce light in your trim sheet and you just don't know how the heck you're supposed to do that. Okay, so I got you covered for this. So first things first, we're going to have to bake all the maps after you finish, doing all your modeling shenanigans. The first thing though, before you do that, you want to really group up objects that you think will have the same material once you import them into Quixel Mixer or Substance Painter or whatever texturing software you're going to be using. So for example, these are panels. So for example, these can go together, and I will group them all into one object. Then, I don't know, this one might go with this one, and I will group them up in the same object, etc, etc. After you're done with that, you're going to have to also select one object, delete all the possible materials that are on it, and select everything with A, hit this drop down, and copy materials to selected. So you literally kill all the materials in the scene. Now these are bare naked. Hit setup scene in grab dock, and you're gonna see basically nothing once you hit the camera. Grab dock is amazing, basically creates an orthographic camera from top, so that everything is ready to bake, but it also creates this very annoying plane at the bottom. So you wanna select everything, GZ, and move it up. Now, do not worry, the plane is going to stay in place, okay? Because it's just locked. It's not going to move at all. Now, make sure that your whole trim sheet is visible. Perfect. Now, what you want to do is that you want to leave the scaling there unless you move the plane. In that case, you're a psychopath. But just do not move this. Don't change anything. Just put export path. Give it a name. Resolution is 496 because you want to bake it in 4K unless you're a wuss. Then format PNG, 16-bit, compression 20%, and I will put all these maps, so normal, curvature, ambient occlusion, height, and matte ID. One important thing, in matte ID, you want to leave it no anti-aliasing because you really want it to be high quality, and you want to put material, auto ID full scene, and it's going to automatically ID the whole scene. Now, if you left the materials because you forgot to delete them, many of them will be the same material, which is really bad because then when you import them into Quixel Mixer or Substance, it's not gonna work, okay? It's not gonna texture them properly. So you really want to make this deleting all the mattes thing before you actually hit auto ID full scene, okay? Once you auto ID the full scene, you're ready to go. So export the maps, and this is what you're gonna be left with, okay? So these are the maps. There's a lot of them, and you can import them into Quixel Mixer and work your magic, like I did, for example, here. Okay, once you're done in Quixel Mixer or whatever Substance, you can just go back to Blender, hit New, General, delete the cube, what a surprise, and go into DECALMACHINE, hit the trim sheet creation, New, initialize, and clear the textures. Now you can load the textures, and then you can start placing them. Okay, go into viewport shading, and hit normal into the normal, then AO into the AO, curvature into the curvature, height into the height, set it to 0, color you can put the albedo, metallic you put the metalness, roughness you put the roughness. And now this is great, this is a very beautiful trim sheet with all the possible Quixel Mixer textures that you may have put in, which is great. But let's give it now that wow factor that I was talking about. So by completely ignoring this, let's go back to where we were before. So the last time we were in here, we just basically created all these materials out of nowhere with grab dock. Now we're gonna actually have to do the opposite and literally destroy them. So you're gonna hit one object, just go into material, delete it, hit everything with A, and then hit this drop down menu and copy material to selected. Like that is literally gonna kill all the materials. Now you wanna create one new material, set it to gray-ish, just go into viewport shading, set it to gray-ish, do not make it metallic, and do not increase or decrease the roughness. Then hit everything and copy material to selected from the drop down. Now everything is gray. Now you also want to do another thing. You want to create another new material and make it white on the emission, or well, light blue. I really highly recommend you use a color at least, and either 1, 2, or 3 with emission strength. Though if you bake your maps in Quixel Mixer, chances are that you're gonna see the emission much less, so you really want to bump it up maybe 3 or even 5, so that is very visible. Instead, if you do not use an albedo texture when you go baking them, it's gonna give you that classic metal, very basic metallic look. In that case, the bounce light and the emission is gonna be way more visible, so you're gonna want to bake it a little bit softer at like 2 or even 1 sometimes. Anyway, after you created this material as well, you really want to select everything one more time and just apply a copy material to selected. Once you're done, every single part is gonna have both of the materials. Now, if you want to create more emission materials, you can do it. You can just, create a new one, change the color, and there you go, and apply it to everything else. Now, let's start making sense here. So, for example, I want this detail here to have emission, so I'm just gonna select the edges and assign. There you go. Maybe I also want, I don't know, like this part here to have it, okay? And there you go, assign. Generally, you don't want to go too overwhelming. I remember, for example, this one here, I did select everything and then deselect the top face and apply it so that it would catch on to the edges and just, kind of look cool. See? It bounces off all the corners here. It is very nice to look at. Generally though, you really want to put the emission, where it really makes sense. If you think it doesn't make sense, or you have a look at it and it's too overwhelming, just, don't place it there, go place it somewhere else. Also, you want to go into top view and check that it's actually visible. For example, in this case, it is visible. Sometimes it will not be visible. If it's not visible and it sucks, do not use it. For example, also here, this one might not be visible, but it's cool. There you go. From top view, it's still barely visible. You can barely see it, but it gives that fall off effect onto the rest of the geometry, which makes it look amazing. There you go. See what I'm talking about? It's great. Anyway, so you keep on going and keep, like putting little emissive details, on things that you think are cool. Once you're done, what you want to do, you want to hit 0 and you want to check it out. Now, if it looks good, you're good to go. If it looks like shit, well, you're not sure, you better start from scratch, because it's better to, work twice than just have a terrible trim sheet that no one's gonna want, neither you. So, once you're done with this, what you want to do is you want to go into environment and completely go into the lights and kill them. There you go. You're gonna be left with this black, texture with some, like lights and emission on it. This is exactly what you want, you see? So this is exactly the texture that we're going to be baking. Now, you want to go here and you want to hit 1000 samples, okay? Even if you have a shitty computer, it's going to be pretty quick at baking anyway, because everything is black and there is not too many polygons anyway. Make sure you're on cycles and then go here. 496 by 496 is perfect. Just bake it into PNG, please. Do yourself a favor. And 16-bit compression 20%, so it matches what we baked before, and just hit F12 and wait that it's done. In my case, I already did, so I was left with this. This is my emission map. Okay? See, the details there, and like a bunch of other stuff. Now, it's not overwhelming. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's not too overwhelming. These details here are pretty strong, but it's just these two, and the rest I left untouched. So now let's go back to where we were before, and we're just gonna import the emission one. And we're basically good to go. Now let's check it out, and it looks pretty damn awesome. Let's bring the parallax to 0 so that we don't have any annoying things to look at, and there you go. Look how beautiful this is, huh? Like, you see, it's not too overwhelming. Yeah, like most of the details, you cannot even see that they're there, like you can only see it if you turn it off. But anyway, this is basically what you're going to be left with. Now you can start trimming. Completely disable the parallax, because if you're in top view and you're in orthographic, you're going to see distortions like this, which is disgusting. So bring it back to 0 and start trimming. So I like this, for example, duplicate, hide the first one, and do this, and just keep going, like trim as many things as you want. And once you're ready and good to go, you can just hit trim it. And then once you're done baking it, you can go test it. So in my case, I'll put a cylinder usually. I'll make it a 64 vert. And I'm just gonna grab it and move it. There you go. Q, sharpen. Go into edit mode. Grab the top face, chamfer it. And make it an edge loop. Bevel it. and macro it in. Perfect. Select these two edges, and you know, you can chamfer them. Maybe grab this one and scale it on the z-axis a little bit, just to, there you go. Then see sharpen, and then just bevel it. Maybe I overdid it a little bit. See sharpen, there you go, and we can bevel it a little bit. Okay, perfect. Once you're done, then you can just go into edit mode, grab one face, and this is the trim we just baked. So you're gonna open it and you're gonna alt click on one panel that you want to use. In my case, maybe this one. And there you have it. Now it's gonna basically put the empty wherever it is that you didn't use the wherever you put your empty. But when you have a texture, well, you know, it doesn't look so hot, to be honest, but it's fine anyway. But top face is gonna look good, but wherever it is you're gonna put the trim sheet is gonna look like shit. So you really want to apply it everywhere, or at least, you know, re-unwrap it and rescale it. But anyway, this is what you're left with, and I would say it's pretty damn cool. You're gonna decide where to put your details, you know, like select another face, and for instance, just I don't know, put this. Yeah, that looks awesome. Then, you know, you can select another one, and for example, trim it with, nah, this is a bit too much. Maybe see something that matches that green that is up there, you know. Yeah, like this one, for instance. This one matches it perfectly. And then you want to go for another one. Something not too overwhelming. Same story here. From here on out, I'm actually going to use a previous trim sheet that I did, though it's basically the same texture. You know, for the sake of consistency, what I do is that I make trims maps with exactly the same textures, so they have exactly the same kind of metals, and you know, they look basically as if they were part of the same trim sheet, but they're not. So there you have it. It's QM2, this one here, and I can just, you know, like apply it. Maybe I'm gonna use maybe I'll use this one. If you notice that you go to the material section, it created a new material because it's a completely different trim sheet. You need to keep this in mind if you want to turn off the emission, which I'll show you after. Now let's put another one. QM2. Yeah, this will do. Select the bottom one. QM2. Hell, why not? I'll use this one. So see, like we have a very nice looking canister, you know, with very few polys, you know, just using trim sheets, and on top of everything, they have this beautiful emission going around. You see, it's pretty great. Like with all this bounce light, you know, going about and bouncing off of the geometry inside. See, it's pretty awesome. Like, I love these, for example. It's fucking great. Anyway, so if you want to, for example, turn it off, you can just duplicate the object and bring it here. Maybe I want this to be off. But if I go here and I hit 0 on the emission strength, it's going to kill both of these top ones. You know, this is the trim sheet one, the one we baked. Now, you don't want that. Let's put it back on 2, for example, and select this one, and we're going to isolate this. Isolate the material. So we isolate this trim sheet. Now, whatever we do with this is going to stay with that object. Bring it to 0, go on the other trim sheet, make it the single user as well, and just hit 0 again. And there you go, you completely killed, you know, the emission. In case you want to have a multiple material with different emission colors, or one emission, one not, there you have it. Now, I hope this was all helpful, and I hope you learned something, and I hope that you're gonna post and send me some of your works. Can't wait to see them. Thank you so much for watching, and have fun trimming.